Is something burning?
John, you burnt the motherfucking toast again. Damn.
My bad. Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 2 of Toasted. This week we're going to tell you guys about our first time we were high, our worst times being high, just so you can get to know us a little bit better. We're also going to introduce our friend Courtney, who happens to be one of our producers. But before we get into all that, Frank is going to give you guys a quick little tidbit about our sponsors.
Hey guys, like John said, we wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, TYCBD Chocolate Bars. These are made with real, high quality chocolate and CBD isolate, and they can help with multiple different things, like your sleeping, anxiety, if you're going through depression, or any type of pain you find yourself in. And a personal story I have from this is my mom, she probably hasn't been able to get a full night of sleep for about 10 years. And so I got her these chocolate bars through TYCBD Chocolates, and I gave it to her. She took the recommended dosage, let it melt in your mouth, and it should work relatively quickly. And once she took them, she had them one night before she went to bed. She woke up the next day, and she said it was the first time she slept for 8 hours straight in over 15 years. So it just, right then and there, it showed me that this is a product. And so, with that being said, if any of our listeners who are living currently in Ohio, you get a 15% discount if you buy the bars from TYCBD Chocolates. And where you go to buy those, you can follow them on Facebook or Instagram at TYCBD. Or you can go into their local venue, which is Fantasy Candies, and you can look them up and go in and buy the chocolates there. Just mention that you heard them from the Toasted Podcast, and you'll be able to get your 15% off. So I just want to give you a quick shout out about that. That being said, let's get back to John and his story about the first time he got high.
Alright, so the first time I ever got high was, probably, I think it was 9th grade.
Okay, all right.
Went to Mount Union for a football camp.
You.
And me and some of the guys smoked right before we took place in, I guess what you could call their freshman or whatever, sophomore initiation stuff.
Yeah.
So we got hazed a little bit, and being high did not help at all. We did a chocolate cookie race, and I'm not going to go into detail on that. If you know what that is, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, I'm sure you can find it online somewhere.
Blue Mountain State. Blue Mountain State.
But one of the guys almost took a tumble out a third floor window because we had a window 5 feet from the finish line of our chocolate cookie race. And we were on the third floor of the building, and he went in the window, broke the window, had glass all on his back. We had to, get him into the shower. He had no idea what was going on because he was so high.
Oh,
we had to get him into a shower. We're in there with tweezers, stoned as shit. For, operation. Real life, though. And we're there trying, with tweezers, trying to pick a little piece of glass out his back in the shower. And me, doing a little bit of construction, we swapped the windows with one of the empty dorm rooms upstairs.
Get out.
And it was a locked room. I picked the lock, and we took out each window and swapped them.
And you got away with it.
And just shut the door again because they didn't give us keys for those.
Oh.
Got away with it. Coaches never knew anything other than somehow some kid's got torn up. That's all they knew.
Wow. That's awesome.
Hilarious. So, it was a good time.
Right.
I had a good time at least. I didn't get so high it fell through a window.
Right. Could have been worse.
Could have been worse, but that was the first time we got high.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, first time I got high, it was off edibles. I think they were Rice Krispie treats because, marshmallows in the belly. Very good. And we were at our buddy Jackson's house. J-She baby, all right? And so we all had edibles. And, I ate it, and it was 2 hours later, and I'm like, guys, I don't feel shit. It hasn't kicked in. I have to work in the morning. I got to be there at 9 o'clock. I'm just going to bed. Fuck it. I don't care, right? Set my alarm. I have to be up at 7 or 8. I go to bed. I sleep good as shit, first of all. Because I'm I didn't... On a floor, but I couldn't even tell. I was just comfortable, cozy. My alarm goes off, and I wake up, and I'm like, holy shit, am I dreaming? What is going on? Like, I was in alter universe. Like, I was living outside my body, all right? So I get up, and I'm like, I'm hungry. Shocker, I was high. Wow. So I'm like, all right, I go in the fridge. I had brought back pepperoni puffs from my place of employment from the night before, and we didn't eat them because I went to bed. And I just open the fridge, and I grab it, and I take a bite. It was so good. But, like, the oil or from the butter on the pepperoni roll just felt like chapstick on my lips because the touch was unreal. It was like, oh, this is great. And then I opened a Coke, and I drank that, and I burped, and I was like, all right, gotta get changed, get to work. So, yeah, mind you, I have to fucking go to work, too. Like, fuck me, right? And so, I get in my car, and, like, I start driving, and then all of a sudden I'm at a light, and I'm like, holy fuck. Like, I know I got here safely, but I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? You know, turn right. I basically go straight down the street for like 10, 15 minutes. I literally was driving it's 25, 30. I'm like, fuck that. I can't get pulled over. Like, I'm freaking out a little bit. I'm driving to work, and it felt like a 45-minute drive. It was more like a 15. You know, so I'm at work, and I'm like, great, I'm 15 minutes early. Oh, now I have to go into work. I go into work. We had breakfast. It was a Sunday, and we had breakfast on Sundays. And they made French toast. I probably ate a whole loaf of bread by myself. And then, like, I did everything to avoid, like, actually working. Like, I would, like, try to stock shit. And, like, I went to the bathroom a lot that day. And I maybe waited on 3 customers. Thank God we weren't busy. Maybe waited on 3 customers the whole day because I was so scared that I was going to hurt myself. And I'm like... And so, no, it gets better. It gets better. So, whenever I get to the work day, I drive home and I'm feeling better. I feel pretty good. I had some sports on the radio. I don't remember what it was. It might have been football. I don't really remember. I drive home, right? I get home and I'm, like, tired because I was up all night and then I worked high somehow. Don't really know how I made it through that day. And so I take a nap and I wake up from my nap and everybody's in my room because there's a tornado warning and everybody's freaking out and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? Like, so I woke up and I was just high again and I'm like, fuck me. Like, I'm never eating edibles and then going to sleep again because that fucked me up. Like, the next time I eat edibles, and so, like, the next time I go to smoke, right, or I eat edibles, I'm with Jackson again. Great influence. JC, baby. Great influence, right? All right. The next time I have edibles again, it's with him, so we were going out downtown. I was like, all right, I ate the edibles. By the time I get downtown, I'll be good. Nope. Like 15 minutes. And I'm like, so first time, it was crazy. I learned from it. And now edibles don't take 2 hours to kick in. So I don't do them often. When I do it, it's always a good time. JC is always there. And, you know, I do need to say that first time, our producer, Miss Courtney Lee, she was there. And that had to lead into, you know, maybe not the best time for her. But with that being said, I wanted to introduce Courtney. She's here for a good time and a long time. Kill it, girl.
Thank you very much. Hello. So, yeah, I know that was also one of my worst times. I would not recommend doing 3 dabs, eating 2 edibles, and smoking a couple blunts, and then following that up with some snacks. That was not a good night for me. But so my first time was actually, so I smoked a bunch of times over the course of probably a few months, and I kind of thought I'd gotten high, and I was like, oh, I guess being high is okay, but, like, it's nothing really that exciting. So as a group, we, you know, with JC, made Rice Krispie treats and brought them on a camping trip. So we all went camping. There was, maybe 10 or so of us?
Yeah, probably around 10.
So we all went camping on this campsite, and it was probably like 2 or 3 in the morning, and so I had one of those Rice Krispie treats, and probably took, 45 minutes, hour to kick in, whatever they usually take. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, boy, I've never been high before, because holy shit, this is so different. And it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. I was loving it. But so, while this was my great first time, it was also collectively, as a group, one of our worst times. So we're all sitting there enjoying it. And then out of nowhere, a police officer walks up to us, and it turns out he had been sitting there watching us for a little while. He heard lots of noise.
At a state campground, mind you.
Yeah, where you're really not supposed to have alcohol. We definitely did. So he came over. He's like, are you guys going to keep it down? You got to clean it up. and then he spotted the weed. That did not end well. Thankfully, a friend took responsibility for it who brought it, so that turned out well in the end. But yeah, collectively as a group, that was not one of our best times. But I guess that transfers us into the next section, which is our worst times. So John, you know a good story.
All right. So, all right, my worst time is definitely a tie.
Okay.
I. Oh, these are so bad. Alright, I'll start off with alright, so the first one I'm going to tell you about, I was chilling in my basement with my friend Brandon.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Brandon. Yeah, I love Brandon. Go ahead.
Someone else was here. I don't remember who it was. But we were smoking, and for some reason, I feel like it was your brother Charlie.
Yeah, I feel like Charlie. Yee. We call him Yee.
Yeah, we call him Yee. But they decided they wanted to watch SpongeBob. I'm like, I hate SpongeBob. I need to be really high if I'm going to watch this. We made we took a 5-gallon bucket and made like a big water bong out of it with like 4 hoses coming out of it. And we put, I don't know, probably like a 1/4 ounce into the bowl. It was a huge head that we put on it.
Yeah.
Put like a 1/4 ounce in there and we just took the blowtorch to the top and then just all sat there and ripped on this thing until it was gone. I got stuck so bad. I was sitting on the couch and the TV turned into like a vortex swirly thing.
Yeah.
And I tried to get up and I couldn't get up. I was trying for like an hour. And then finally, I just lunged forward, like full speed. Like I was about to like tackle somebody. And they freak out, like, what's wrong? I'm like, I've been trying to stand up for an hour. They're like, start cracking the fuck up and laughing at me because they weren't as high as I was.
Right.
Then they started laughing even harder. I'm like, what? I was wearing a gray t-shirt, and just the very edges of like the bottom of my sleeves were one color gray, and the whole rest of the shirt was a darker gray because I was just sweating that much. Brandon gets up to like go sit on the couch because the couch looked like it was. The couch is soaked where I was sitting.
Oh my god.
I was just freaking dripping. Looked like I just got out of the shower. Couldn't move. It was terrible. That's tied with the very same camping trip that we were just talking about. The morning before the girls got there, because usually these are just guys. We just have a guys' weekend and we go on these camping trips. But we decided to add in, like, you know, a girls' night so they could come visit us. That morning, they all decided to smoke in my tent while I'm still asleep. And there was like 4 or 5 people, mind you. They all sit around me, and as I'm snoring, every time I go to inhale, they're just blowing smoke in my face, so I'm just inhaling smoke.
While you were sleeping?
While I was asleep, and they're in the tent, so the tent's baked out, so every breath already is a lot of smoke. Plus they're like shotgunning me, fucking... Anytime any one of them takes a puff, I woke up, and it was X Games. He was sitting outside at a picnic table, taking no part in this. In the tent was like...
It was Hinkle,
James,
Monty.
Yeah.
Was Ed there?
Big Ed.
I wasn't in the tent at that. I wasn't in there.
Charlie was in there too.
It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there was like a handful. And James is one friend. I don't know who it was. They're all in there doing this to me. I just unzip the thing and step out. And it's like 11 o'clock. So the sun's out, shining right in my face. Right, so I step out, and X Games is just staring at me like, dude, you look like you're from Mars or something. My eyes are so red. And like the sun hitting them. I was so high. We went to the beach. I got in a tube. I squeezed into a tube and had a Gatorade. And I just went out in the water and floated and drank a Gatorade the whole day. I couldn't, like, they were on the beach playing volleyball and all kinds of shit.
We did. We played football. It was so much fun.
I couldn't do any of that.
He's in the fucking water.
Being out of the water physically hurt me. So I just floated all day. Like, we were there for 5 or 6 hours. Floated the whole day just drinking the one little Gatorade.
You got sunburned and shit, too.
Oh, I was fried. And then I went on that bar crawl.
Yeah.
It was all good.
Yeah.
So those are my 2. They're definitely tied right down the middle.
Yeah. So my
Oh,
worst
shit.
time, it relates more to your first story that you had about how you were like in the zone and you were stuck.
Yeah.
It was recently. It was this past December, and I've been busy with work. I was exhausted. I got no sleep. I went out because you're stupid. Like, oh, I'm fine. I can go out. I can hang out. I can get high. Get fucked up. I'll be all right. I can handle it. And so we were at our buddy's house, Shu, and we started smoking. We were all there. We're sitting there, and like out of nowhere, I was just like, "Fuck me." I ain't going anywhere. I'm stuck in the couch. I'm sitting there. I got the meat sweats. I'm freaking dripping. Like, I'm looking at you guys, and you're like, John's just laughing. It's like,
Right.
that fucking laughing. I go, great. He's laughing at me, and it's making me laugh, but I can't laugh because I'm stuck. And it was like,
Yeah, it was probably that had to be the giggliest I've ever been. Because I was watching him laugh, and it made me laugh harder.
Right.
And then me laughing harder made him laugh harder. And it got to the point where I felt like I was about to pass out because I was laughing so hard.
right,
I had to like look away from you and start taking like deep breaths.
right. Oh yeah. And so we're sitting there, and like, as I'm stuck, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, fuck, like I can't get out. Like I'm in that mindset, and all I can see are bad things happening. So we and Courtney were supposed to go on a trip that week, and we had it all planned out. And then I'm thinking about like going on the trip and like us getting in a car accident or something bad happening, and it's like it's freaking me out. And now I'm like, I don't think I can ever smoke again because like I was at one point like we were talking about doing this podcast, and I'm like, all this is never gonna happen because I'm never going to smoke again because I'm freaking out and I don't think I can ever smoke again. I'm going to be Courtney on my weed, so she'll still be friends with me. I'm going to, like, find John somebody else to do the podcast with so he can still, enjoy it and have his thing. And, I major panic attack, my first ever panic attack, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, like, it was real life-changing for me because, like, at that point I felt like, looking back now, I was smoking too much to where if that never happens, if I never go through that, I never change who I am. I don't end up where I'm at right now, where it's like, now I know when I should smoke and I enjoy my time when I'm smoking. And it's like, I'm not just doing it because I can do it. It's like, I get the most out of it. And then I still get the most out of all other aspects of my life. Like going to the gym and working out, like just being with my family and like paying attention to them and being in other crowds and not always being high. And I feel like if I never had that panic attack, who knows what could have ended up happening. And so like it was a real life changer for me, and while it was my worst time, it's probably the time that I learned the most from. I learned the most about myself. And really all I was doing was sitting there in my buddy's house, wishing he would have put sports on because I would have been distracted, but the motherfucker couldn't find the remote. So I don't know what the fuck we were watching, but it wasn't Sunday Night Football. And
I'm pretty sure it was like a building show or like
Yeah.
a home repair
right,
show.
and I usually like Fixer Upper is my shit. Like usually I'm good.
Fixer Upper is
Yeah.
my shit.
It is. Love Fixer Upper. But my point is like I was supposed to go through that. I was supposed to learn from it, and I feel like I have a better control on all aspects of my life now because of it. And I know maybe I shouldn't mix certain things, so I learned more about what I was smoking through it, and like I'm happier with where I am at life because of that worst time, and I'm happy I was able to learn from it so quickly and just be happy with how I'm living my life.
Makes sense.
Now, with all that being said, did you have another worst time you wanted to share, or no? All right,
No,
so we're
it's
going
not
to jump
a fun
into
game.
some games.
Alright, so I want to play a little game and kind of go through some stoner favorites. So I'll give out a topic and then you guys kind of debate how you feel and what your answer would be. So,
You're wrong. Fuck you.
Fuck off!
number 1 was your favorite method of smoking.
Ooh, definitely homemade devices.
Oh, yeah.
We've rigged up some pretty cool things here.
Yeah. Oh, the freaking Gatorade jug. That was awesome.
That'll be a story one time we'll get into. We'll talk about the Gatorade jug.
You don't want to miss that episode.
We've done the pineapple, a potato,
Yeah.
an onion, and a lemon. Should I post those pictures on Instagram so they can see?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll post those.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so anything you could take and make into a bowl or a pipe or something at home and smoke out of, homemade things, because they're fun to do,
Right.
and then you get to use it too. So I think I still have one in my freezer that me and X Games made like years ago, just chilling in the freezer.
Yeah. My favorite way to smoke is probably my pen, just because, like, when I smoke it, it gets me into a zone where it's like, I feel so much smarter on it. I remember one time I was at the bar and we had smoked, and I'm sitting there and I'm high as fuck, and I look at Courtney and I go, do you ever just think you're the smartest person in the world? Because that's where I'm at right now. Like, just how I think about everything. I feel like when I hit the pen, and I don't have to hit it a lot, once or twice, I put it down, I give it to John, whatever.
And
And
then I rip on it for a half hour straight.
What is that, by the way?
Here you go. Anywho, it puts me in a more comfort zone, but it also puts me in a zone where, like, if I need to focus, like, I focus on that, and, like, now I'm, like, high volume, let's go, I'm getting into it, I'm getting everything done. Like, I bartended it with just hitting that a couple times, and it's like, then you start hearing the music in the background, and you dancing, and you're making drinks, and you're making people happy, and you're interactive, and it's just, like, it calms the nerves, and it lets you just excel in whatever mind frame you want to be in. And so, like, I love the pen because I can also just be sitting at the bar, and I can think of something, or I can see something, and then my creative juices are just flowing, and I mean, that's kind of how we came up with this podcast to begin with. So it's just like, I always appreciate doing that. Like, don't get me wrong, I like to rip a bong here and there, but you know what I mean? When I smoke the pen, I feel like I benefit the most from being high because I can be so active with my brain and just reach spots I thought I could never get to before.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it's more of a body high.
And the ladies, they really love those creative juices.
Heyo.
That's true.
True.
Alright, so next one. Your favorite high snack, candy, like go-to food. When you were hungry, what munchie is your go-to?
I think it's key to mention that we tend to watch Greatest British Baking Show, and those sweets just look so good. Like, I'm not a big sweets person,
Well, what's
But when you
nice
see them
is,
do
but when you see them do it,
but what's really nice about it is you can stare at delicious looking
right,
food,
and not eat it.
and you're only hungry for like the first 5 minutes, and then you forget you're hungry, and are just way into the show.
Right. I fucking
And then you don't actually eat anything.
the accents. Oh.
Bike?
But yeah, I like sweets. Anything fried. Yeah, I'm not picky. I'll eat
Confessions of
anything.
a fat boy.
Bro, like, if you put like kale in front of me, if you cook it right, I eat the fucking kale. I don't care.
That's fair.
M&Ms. Oh, there's always M&Ms at your house. I eat the
Anything
fuck out of your
that's true.
M&Ms.
Yeah, guys,
Anything cheesy.
we're not picky. We're just fat.
Cheesy and fried, like mozzarella sticks or some French fries, but like candy all day.
Yeah.
See, like, I don't really want the candy.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with one of those raspberry Danish twists. Those are really good.
Oh yeah.
That was very good.
Cookies, definitely cookies.
Fresh baked.
Yeah, baked goods.
Baked goods. Anyways.
Oh, my
Hey.
God.
None of that.
Alright, what about... Alright, so we said Great British Baking Show, but other than that, TV show, movie, go-to, watching.
I got this. The 100.
Ooh.
I will watch over and over and over again if I'm high.
Yeah.
Just I get way too into the action. I'm like, yeah, stomping that motherfucker's head. I'll just be like yelling at the TV.
Right. You just love it.
I'm just way too into that show.
Right.
When I'm messed up.
I like to watch either comedians. I love comedians. Gabriel Iglesias. Bert, I can't say his fucking last name, takes his shirt off. This is Russia guy. He's good. I like watching WWE because athleticism is unreal. And if they're good on the mic, it's like you're good on the mic. And so that interests me. And Modern Family, love that shit. But yeah, it also depends on what the mood I'm in, Good
Another
movie.
one to add to that list. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah. I feel like I would really appreciate now the older version of me. I want to watch like the Harry Potter movies because it's like I never really got into it, and now
I see that.
I could sit there and be like, holy fuck, that bookcase moves. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like shit you don't notice when you're younger because like your attention span's so little. It's like now I'm older, I'm smarter, and I'm high, so I appreciate
of the movies.
And so like I feel like I would dig that, and yeah.
See, I feel like I'm one of the different ones. I love YouTube videos. Like, that's my go-to. So, like, lately I've been binge watching Shane Dawson's, like, conspiracy theory and creepy videos. Like, the other day I was watching videos, like, creepiest cults in the world and stuff like that. So, by the end of it, I'm, like, shitting my pants and don't want to be, like, going to sleep. But, oh, it's fantastic. I love it.
On the YouTube topic, me and X Games, always, wherever we leave from the bar, if we're just hanging out here, we're messed up, we put YouTube on, and we watch the like recovery agents.
Oh
for
yeah,
people that like bonds expired and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
We watch them do like their recoveries on people or like repos, and they just go and like every time they run, like they pull up like this is the plan. Hopefully the guys that run this time, and every single time they're gone. Like, come on. What do you expect?
Right.
But, like, just the exchanges that they have in the show. Hilarious.
Love it. All right. What about music? What is your go-to? What do you want to listen to?
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
I think it depends completely on.
It really,
Like I could be high and want to listen to Drake. I never listen to Drake, but sometimes you're like, let me listen to Drake. I don't know. I couldn't tell you one of his songs, but it's like I want to try to understand how he comes up with his stuff. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if I'm high, I'll focus on it more, and I can listen to it and see why people really like his stuff. Or like sometimes like my favorite song right now to listen to, it's an old one. It's called Airplanes by B.O.B. And it features Eminem. And it's like when I was younger, I looked at it one way, but now I look at it as like.
Williams from Paramore. Just had to throw that in.
No, I feel it. I'm not mad. But, like, I look at it as, like, yeah, you wish for airplanes, but you don't, unless you create your own happiness and create, like, you have to do it. You can't be fucking wishing for shit. You got to make it happen on your own. And so, like, when I'm, like, sitting there and I'm, like, I need to be motivated, I listen to that, and then I rap Eminem's whole thing, 'cause I fucking love it. And, like, I like that. And then sometimes I'm just, like, in a country mood or whatever. You saw me dancing earlier when we were fucking... thinking of shit. That doesn't matter. I like anything, really.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I like everything. It really just depends on what mood I'm in. When I'm high.
I do have a favorite song. It's Waves by Mr. Probes, but the Chris Brown version.
Yeah.
Love it. That's my favorite song when I'm high. But, alright, so yeah, that was my fun little game of all of our stoner favorites.
Stoner favorites? Now, this is going to be fun. I came up with this when I was high. Shocker. And it's called... One time I was so high. And it's just, it's a great way to, I feel like, get the podcast to its ending. We're bringing up, coming up on closing time of the podcast. And if you know us, you get why that was funny. You'll get to know us. You'll figure it out eventually. Anywho, so it's one time I was so high, and it's just a short little story about one time you were so high and you did this thing, and it was just, like, hilarious, or... It scared you because you were so high that, like, you're dumb. I have a couple of those. But I'm going to go with the first one I'm going to tell is my brother, Yee. He is a dog, right? And so, like, he's always at work. So I come home, I feed the dog. I take the dog to my dad's house. He lives right next to me. I know, it's weird. Everybody loves Raven type shit. It's cool, though. So I bring the dog to my dad's house, and I have her on the leash, whatever. And I bring the dog over to my dad's house, and... He has the dog, and I'm like, alright, I'll see you later. I'll come get the dog when I come home. I'm going out. I walk back to my house. I change, whatever. I go out. I come back, and I go to get the dog, right? And I walk in the house, and I'm like, where the fuck is the leash? Where the fuck did I put the leash? I looked for, like, probably 10 minutes. Couldn't find the leash. I'm like, alright, fuck it. Hopefully the dog will listen to me. I'll get her in the house safely. Well, I was so high when I dropped the dog off. I literally had the leash in my hand like I was walking the dog back to my house. And I brought it into my house and set it on the counter. And I was like, found the leash, you know? It's like, I got so high, I took the leash back with me with no dog. And, you know. It's just little shit like that you do when you're high. Stories like that.
I love it. So I also have a one time I was so high story, but it's actually a time that Frank was so high. Well, we all were. But so this was for our first official Toasted podcast meeting. So we sat down at the dining room table at my house, and Frank sat down across from the wall, so on the opposite side of the wall, facing it. And so he starts setting up his laptop, and he realizes he needs to plug it in. So he walks from the table, plugs it into the wall.
Oh,
and goes,
no. He didn't plug it in.
Oh, he goes to plug it in.
He walks it and then looks at it and looks at the wall, drops it, and walks back around the table and proceeds to like move his stuff over because he's like, it's not going to reach. And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It was like 4 feet. His cord was like 6 feet. We're like, Frank, you don't need to move all of your shit around to the other side of the table. So he's dying. We're all dying. He finally figures out how to plug this in normally, sits back down. Next thing you know, rips ass to the point where we think he just shit his pants. And we're like, Frank, you need to go in the other room. And this was how our first podcast
What'd you say? You said, get away from me or something? You go, I can't look at you right now.
Yeah, so after he farted, I was just shaking my head. I just looked at him and I was like, I can't handle you right now. Get away from me. I just pointed to the other room and was like, banished him. And then his happy ass, laughing the whole time, just walks over there and acts like, oh, it's completely normal.
Oh, and that was how our first meeting went. So.
Yeah. So, with that being said, that's the end of our first official long-ass podcast. I'm glad you guys were here to listen to it. We want to hear from you, and we want to know what you think. We want you to reach out to us on our social media platforms, which you all better be following by now, because it's like been a week since we dropped our first little sneak peek preview.
That's with the little T, guys.
Little T. And if you don't know, if you're not laughing at that right now, you need to go back and listen to our first podcast. It's rude, all right? So give us a follow, DM us, message us on any of our social media platforms. We want to get you guys involved. We want to hear your stories, and we just want to be interactive. With that being said, make sure you check out our podcast. We're dropping them every Friday. And in order to get a heads up on what we're doing that week, make sure you look at our social media platforms where we will be having sneak peeks.